What's up, kitchen table wizards? What's up, deck brewers from all over the world? If you are looking for janky decks, you have come to the right place. If you are looking for tribal decks or team decks, well, welcome my friend, you have come to the right channel. This time you will find out how to make a dragon with infinite power and toughness, how to kill your opponent with a super big creature without even attacking, or even how to win a €10 card market voucher. So, last weekend it happened again. I was browsing to my binder and I stumbled upon a card. And I just needed to brew with this card. It was just too strong, I couldn't resist. So, as a true Johnny, I've decided to look up all the possible combos and teams for this card. And I have ended up with a deck consisting of 213 cards.
Say what?
In the following colors: blue, red, black, white, green, and using the following themes: +1/+1 counters, proliferate, dragons, goblins, humans, elves, planeswalkers. There were even some recursion in it. There was a non-human tribal team. We had an alternate win condition.
Wow.
But then somehow I couldn't find the right balance.
I always knew that one day you'd need me and miss me.
Oh yeah, you might hear the voice of Camille the intern. Well, given the circumstances, she couldn't be here because everyone has to stay home at the moment. But actually, she is here. Look, here she is. So she is following the deck tech. So in the second day of my brewing craziness, I woke up at 3 a.m., couldn't really sleep. And then I had an epiphany. There was this tiny bird whispering in my ear. Bram, you need to simplify things. So I've decided to remove blue and leave all the rest in there.
But blue is my favorite color.
So before I head into the deck tech and explain the combos and the place of this deck, I also want to thank you, and if you like my content, make sure to leave a like on this video. When I got to 100 likes, I promise you I will make the wackiest goat deck on the internet for you. And this I will do by ordering my cards from our sponsor, Card Market. Feel free to subscribe and leave a comment which deck you would like to see me brew, and then maybe you even win a €10 voucher. As always, we start with the land base and I will give a spotlight to the gorgeous basic lands we use. I've chosen the basic lands of Dragons of Tarkir because we are building a special dragon tribal deck. We have a beautiful mountain and plain from Florian de Dessincourt, and Dutchman Titus Lunter made this cool forest. Then I play some dual lands, including 4 Jungle Shrine, a Clifftop Retreat, a Cinder Glade and a Canopy Vista. +1/+1 counters will be important in this deck, and therefore I included a Cave of Temptation and a Guildmages Forum. Then I also wanted to be able to proliferate with Karn's Bastion, and another land that works well for the +1/+1 counters is the Oran-Rief Vastwood. Next up, the Planeswalkers. I play 3 Planeswalkers in this deck. The first one is Jangu. He can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and also make all creatures with a counter on it into mana creatures. The next one is Domri Chaosbringer, and he has the ability Riot. Riot is a keyword ability which allows you to choose between gaining a +1/+1 counter or haste when a creature enters the battlefield. Then we have Ajani the Great-Hearted. He gives all creatures vigilance And with a minus ability, you can also put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and also a loyalty ability on each other planeswalker. You can also use the +1 ability to gain some life. So these were the planeswalkers I play in the deck. Let's now head into the creatures, and I will play 23 creatures in this deck.
Well, by now you should know that Bram's style of creating decks includes a mishmash of creatures to ensure diverse games every time you play.
Thanks, Camille. That's correct. The first one is a beetle. It's named Bond. Beetle Bond. And it's a 1-drop who we will not be playing a lot on turn 1. Our next friend, we play 3 of them. It's called the Incubation Druid. And I think we all know how this elf feels.
I'm fine!
But after 2 weeks I still can't tap myself to produce any mana.
Manarena. Yeah, Bram, I know it's a good one.
Besides trying to stand resolute when his friends are ordering pizza, he's also great in getting counters and attacking with trample. I'm of course talking about the avatar of the resolute. The Nessian horn beetle also likes to put counters on dragons, and especially when we have an enduring scale lord, this could be very powerful. I've also included Mowu, the loyal companion, and actually I just included him because I otherwise would have troubles with Yangu. Because if I leave his dog home, then he gets annoyed, and the dog also likes counters, so I put the dog in as well. Oh yes, there was also a goblin team in the deck. Well, here we go. Goblin Race Runners is a ticking time bomb in this deck if your opponent doesn't find an answer for it. At the beginning of your end step, you may have it deal damage equal to the amount of +1/+1 counters on it to target player or planeswalker. The following 3 different creatures also add counters to our creatures. I play 2 Good Fortune Unicorn. I'm super happy that I can play finally Grumgully the Generous.
Yep.
And Renata Call to Hunt also gives all our creatures +1/+1 counters.
Now it's time for some dragons!
Exactly. The first dragon we are going to talk about is an excellent 1-drop, and followed with an Hardened Scales or a Bond Beetle you can have an 8/8 flyer. He is called the Slumbering Dragon, and in the beginning of the game he will be a bit sleepy. The first one is Skargan Hellkite. It's a 4/4 flying for 5 mana with Riot, and if it has a +1/+1 counter on it, you can pay 4 mana and have it deal 2 damage divided between 2 targets that you can choose. His friend is called Dromoka the Eternal. It's a 5/5 flying for 5 mana, which is already some nice stats, and when it attacks it has the ability Bolster 2. And that means you choose a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control and you put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. The next one is more on color and flavor than on theme, but it's still a good card. It's called Palladia-Mors the Ruiner, and especially for you commander players, you can use this card and integrate a build around theme with Enduring Scale Lord in it as well. Next up, boom, Big Daddy Dragon. It's called the Killmount Dragon. For 7 mana, you get a 5/5 flying with Amplify 3. As this creature enters the battlefield, put 3 +1/+1 counters on it for each dragon card you reveal in your hand. And then when you tap it, it can deal damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on target creature or player.
Fatality.
Amazing dragon. And last but not least, I play 4 of the Enduring Scale Lord. This is our combo guy, and I will explain very soon how all the combos work. Let's start with some support cards. I play an Eladamri's Call and a Sarkham's Triumph to search for some creatures or some dragons. You can of course also play 2 Sarkham's Triumphs if you want to build a cheaper version of the deck, or 2 Eladamri's Calls, but these cards are a bit more expensive. Then there's also one Inspiring Call. This is a great protection card for your team, which can also draw you a bunch of cards. And a part of the combo is also in this card. It's called Twin Flame and it will copy creatures and give them haste. I also play 4 enchantments in the deck. The first one is obviously the Hardened Scales, one of the best enchantments if you want to build a deck with +1/+1 counters. Gleam of Authority is also a nice +1/+1 counter card in the deck, so I also decided to play one of these. And Rhythm of the Wild is also a great card. Your creature spells can't be countered and your non-token creatures have Riot, and this is also important because your deck is really focused around creatures.
Are we going to talk about a alternate win condition now?
That's right, Cami. The alternate win condition is hidden in the following enchantment. It's called Mayael's Aria. It costs 3 mana and at the beginning of your upkeep put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. If you control a creature with power 5 or greater, then you gain 10 life. If you control a creature with power 10 or greater, and then you win the game if you control a creature with power 20 or greater. And how could this be possible? Let's find out. In this deck, it's really important when to play the different cards. So we call this sequencing. For example, you start with a hand with a Bond Beetle, an Incubation Druid, a Domri's Chaosbringer and a Dromoka. So you have a 1-drop and a 2-drop, but in this case you will start with a tapped land on the first turn, then play an Incubation Druid on the second turn, and on turn number 3 you can play a Bond Beetle, put a +1/+1 counter on the Incubation Druid. This will give you 5 mana and then you can use it to play a Dromoka or a Chaosbringer. Of course, we also want to talk about the Enduring Scalelord. This is our infinite power and toughness dragon that I was talking about. If you have, for example, a Grum Gully out, together with an Enduring Scalelord, it will get a +1/+1 counter. Then, if you would play a Twin Flame and you target the Enduring Scalelord, you will also put a +1/+1 counter on this token of the Enduring Scalelord. Now, that will trigger the other Scalelord, and that will trigger again the token Scalelord. And this will go on in infinity, giving you 2 infinite power and toughness dragons. And you can attack with 2 dragons, which each have 1 billion power and toughness.
Wow.
If you don't have an Enduring Scalelord, you can also go and fetch it with a Sarkhan's Triumph or an Eladamri's Call. And there are so many creatures in the deck that could give it +1/+1 counters that it almost be certain that you will have the combo ready. Now imagine you have an opponent with a lot of blockers or who is playing a lot of fogs or effects that you can't attack. Well, you can still win the game when you have a creature with power 20 or greater, because you have Mayael's Aria. So this is the alternate win condition in the deck. The Kilmorn Dragon is also a great dragon in the deck. I remember a game where I could give it +6/+6 and I had 2 Planeswalkers out. Using the Domri I gave it haste and Ajani gave it vigilance, so I attacked for 11 damage and then afterwards tapped my dragon. He was dead in 1 turn. So these were the power plays of the deck. Now let's head into the power rankings. I gave this deck a power of 8 because of the powerful stuff we could do with the Enduring Scalelord. It is quite complex to play as you have to search for the combo and it's not that consistent, so I only gave it a 6 for consistency. The deck in offense and defense is not super strong unless you have the combo, of course, so in general I gave it also a 6. Fun factor, I gave it an 8, and value for money definitely an 8 because it's not really an expensive deck to build. Now let's head into the metagame review. The deck does quite okay against aggressive and mid-range decks, so I gave it a 7. Of course, versus control and combo decks it's not that good because it's quite vulnerable and it doesn't have a lot of defense against removal. Last but not least, we will head into the maybe board, and this one I specially did for my intern Camille because she likes blue, and we're going to add some blue to the deck to also include in Enduring Scalelord combo. You can use it with Altered Ego to go infinite, or you can add a Spark Double into your deck and also copy the Enduring Scalelord with a counter that will trigger the infinite as well. And if you stuck around until the end of the video, you probably wanna know who won the winner of the week card market voucher. Well, his or her name is Tom Gumbo. Please contact me through Card Market and I will make sure you will get your promotion code for the voucher. So this was the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like underneath the video. And as always, keep it casual. Bye.